Hey there guys, it's Tina and I am back and I am doing the most in my little poofy shoulder shirt. Guys, we are doing it retro today and I am kind of embracing summer colors because it's 30 degrees outside and I don't want to talk about it at all. It snowed yesterday, all right? It's the beginning of December and I was trying to hold out, all right? And I wasn't prepared for the snow that was on my car this morning and I'm highly upset. So, I am trying to hold on to any ounce of summer that I can. So, I am wearing the brightest fuchsia pink shirt that I could find with trendy shoulders and a bold fuchsia lipstick. So we're doing it. We're just living our best lives right now inside in sweatpants. And this outfit is kind of fitting in with the theme of this video because I'm trying to hold on to my favorite season of the year, and I'm also trying to hold on to some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. So this video was inspired by Angelica Nyqvist here on YouTube, who was tagged by Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner to do this video titled "If I Could Only Keep 10 Eyeshadow Palettes." And let me tell you, I was intrigued. I was like, excuse me, I want to know what's going on. What's the deal? What palettes are you going to choose? So I'm going to link Angelica's video here. Definitely check her out. I think she had some great choices and I was interested to see what she would select since she has such a huge makeup collection and she has palettes from indie brands, from these different obscure brands. She has higher end makeup and mid-range makeup. So I wanted to see what palettes she truly loved. And since she's into color like I am, I wanted to know, okay? I needed to know. And I will also leave Annette's video here so you can check her out. I don't really watch Annette, so I don't know much about her, but if Angelica likes her, then you might like her too, so definitely check her out. I'm gonna watch some of her videos and see what I feel about her, but she started this tag video. It's not really a tag, but it's a great idea, and I thought I would go ahead and share the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I personally would keep, and I have a ton, all right? I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes, and to be honest, this was difficult, but it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I thought I would be struggling, but I started making a list. I started checking it twice. I was seeing what palette was naughty and which one was nice. And I was like, all right, we're good. We're cool here. I narrowed it down to 16 palettes. So there's some honorable mentions, but I have my top 10, like the 10 that I would definitely keep. But I have a little extra, you know, because I'm extra, as you can tell right now. But I like, you know, I'm going to show you my thought process. And, you know, we have some runners up that I can share with you as well. But we're going to go through the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I would keep if I could only keep 10. So, sneak peek. All right, so this is in no particular order, right? So it's not like, oh, this is the number one. No, I'm just going to grab and go. But I'm still going to try to do it in some kind of order to make it make sense because, you know, we like to make sense over here. So we'll start out with a very basic palette, one that I just need to have in my collection. If I was just going to have 10 palettes, this one would kind of be a core eyeshadow palette. It would ground the rest of the eyeshadow palettes. And that is my VISEART Grande Pro Volume 1. So this is the very first one they released. It was supposed to be limited edition. There were only supposed to be 3,000 made. And lo and behold, it became a permanent item. So I got 104. So they numbered the original one. So I got 104 out of 3,000. Go me. And this is what it looks like. It's an all matte palette with different neutrals. We have a white and a black, and then we have all different matte shades in between. So we have various basic shades here. We have our browns that vary in undertones. So we have like the beigey shades, more peachy tones, more caramel tones. We have deeper tones here in this row. Then we have some bold brights. This blue is great, and then we have nice smoky tones right here. I think this palette is perfect for rounding out any look, any collection, because you have all the mattes that you could need. You have blend-in shades, transition shades, deepening shades, and even some pops of color. And I like the VISEART matte formulation. They feel a little bit drier, a little bit grainy to the touch, so if you rub your finger in it, they're not gonna be the smoothest, creamiest eyeshadows ever. But they blend so well on the eyes. They apply nicely. They give you the color that you see in the pan. So it's not like, oh, this gray is going to turn out blue or anything. It's going to look that shade on your eyelids. And I love these eyeshadows. So this would be a staple in my collection. It would ground everything. I would just need this so I can take it along, mix in with any eyeshadow look that I wanted, and I would have all the shades that I need right here. Now, I'm gonna go from basic to hella loud and proud, because the next palette that came to my mind, I didn't even have to think too hard, was the Violet VOSS Bright Vibes Neon Pressed Pigment palette. This is a newer one to my collection. I got this in the summertime, and look at it. Oh my god. So this palette has a bunch of neon shades and even some primary colors. So I have this bold deep blue here, gorgeous. I love a good blue, but I have this sky blue as well. Then I have this neon yellow, neon green, a couple of pinks, a purple, a coral. Like, I would be living my best life with this neon palette. And because I love color, I have to have a colorful palette. And this is all matte, which is perfect for me because my favorite texture of eyeshadow is a matte. And I love how these look on the eyelids. The color payoff is fantastic. I did a look with this palette. I will link it over here so you can check it out. These perform so well, and they're bold and intense and in your face, and they look so good. So I would absolutely need to keep this palette. It's one of my favorite palettes of this year, and I need it, okay? So I have my basic mattes and I have my bright, bold, colorful mattes. Now with that being said, we need some colorful shimmers, right? And so keeping with Violet VOSS, I would go ahead and grab the Rainbow Eyeshadow Palette. Now this is an older palette for me from Violet VOSS, and I absolutely love the texture of these eyeshadows. These are all shimmers. Now these two purples, I was like, do I really need two purples? But one is more blue based and one is more of that violet red tone base. And we have a shimmery golden white, like it's a white gold. We have a shimmery blue, green, gold. We have a shimmery blue, a pink. This is so beautiful. And I used this in my carnival look when I went to Jamaica, and I absolutely loved it. And I just think this is a beautiful shimmery palette. And the shimmers aren't too loud or in your face. They're just really beautiful metallic jewel tone shades. And I love the texture of these, and they apply so well and blend out so nicely. I would have this as my jewel tone shimmery palette. Love this. All right, so I'm going back to mattes for a minute because like I said, mattes are my favorite texture, hands down. The next palette I would choose is my VISEART Dark Matte palette. This is palette number 4, I believe. And I fell in love with this palette from the first time I saw it, the first time I used it. It's just, dark mattes is exactly what it is. So this palette is what it says. It's a dark matte palette, but these tones are more earthy, a little bit more of an autumnal feel. To me, these are like jewel tone mattes. I know jewel tone, it's not singing right here, but think about it. You have like a green, you have a foresty olive, you have this dark navy blue, a couple of burgundies, a dark purple. These accent jewel tone shimmers beautifully. And like I mentioned, VISEART mattes are great. They're some of my favorite mattes to work with, this palette especially. I just love how these tones work. They're deep. They give me a little bit of that smoky zhuzh. I can get a fall look from this, but I can also get like a sexy sultry look. And these just work well on my skin tone, and I love this palette. It's probably my favorite Yeah, it is my favorite 12 pan eyeshadow palette from VISEART. So I would definitely mix this in with the jewel tone shimmers. So then I was like, great, we have all our mattes covered, right? We have bold mattes, we have colorful shades, we have jewel tone shimmers. What else do you need to add to the mix to make this cohesive, to do a selection of different looks? And the next palette on my list is the NUDEPOP Pro Eyeshadow Palette from KEVYN. Now this palette, I hemmed and hawed about this before I grabbed it last year, and I am so happy that I picked this up. This is such a beautiful neutral palette. It's very simple, very basic, but it has these beautiful shimmery tones with a little bit of texture to them, and then it has a couple of these deeper purple shades that I absolutely love. So I could get a nice neutral look from this. This shade here is so beautiful. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. And then you have this beautiful copper shade. So these two shades already sold me, but then these other shades work so well. And there is this duochrome beige that is absolutely gorgeous. I had to add this palette to the selection, and it's a very simple, unassuming palette, but working with the palette and working with the eyeshadows, they are so special in their own way, but they're not overwhelming at all. And I think these would pair well with the other palettes that we have selected so far. And there are some really interesting shades here that I don't have in those other palettes. So I was really excited to add this into the roundup. So now we have beautiful neutrals and beautiful colors. What else are we adding? And I had to go with the NUDEPOP Pro Eyeshadow Palette, also from KEVYN. So this is like the bold, sexy sister to that NUDEPOP palette. And this one has different shades than the ones in the Violet VOSS Rainbow palette, because now we have a couple of subdued pinks, a couple of cranberries, we have a couple of greens here, teals and stuff, a couple of golds, and these are all beautiful. And it has this satin black. It's not a flat matte finish, so it's gonna give you that sultry, smoky look without being just full-on matte. And I love that. And the textures of these, again, really gorgeous. And I love working with this. And I think this, again, would complement the other palettes that we've chosen so far. And it would give me a little bit of edge, a little bit of zhuzh, so I can get really beautiful jewel toned eyes, a little smokiness going on, but it would still be sexy, and it's different from the other shimmery jewel tones that I have. So again, beautiful, and we have some neutral tones as well as some bright colorful ones in here as well. Now, I am not done with the shimmery textured eyeshadows, because next up is the JOUER Ultra Foil Eyeshadow Palette. Now this came out for holiday last year. I died over this palette, and I told you guys about it, and I said you got to pick it up. It's pretty, and it went on sale so many times, and a lot of you did go ahead and grab this, and you could have gotten this for like under $20, because I think JOUER had it on sale. I'm not gonna get into this. All I know is it's a beautiful palette, and I'm glad I have it in my collection. So this one is like a cross between the KEVYN NUDEPOP and the ElectroPop. So it has some colorful bold shades. This blue green shade is like a beetle color, which I have to have this in my collection. There is no way. But this one has some more neutral shades that are different than the NUDEPOP palette from KEVYN. And there's some really beautiful duochromes in here. They're not as heavily pigmented or like really dense. They're a little bit lighter, so I could use them as toppers, as inner tear duct highlights. But then I also have a couple of colorful shades in here. So this one would be perfect to complement the other shimmery tones that I have in my collection. So that one, I was just like, yeah, you gotta have that one as well, because it has some really special shades, and I fell in love with that palette. So after that, I was like, great, we're set for everyday looks, we're set for smoky looks. Now let's have some fun, all right? Let's dive into some fun palettes. So I went with the Give Me Glow Summer Vibes palette. Oh my god. So I was debating back and forth with a couple of Give Me Glow palettes, But this one, I just had to toss this in because it has such fun colors, and then it has some really brilliant shimmers as well. These shades, oh my god, these are gorgeous. Like, look at this orange, this yellow, this pink, this teal. I don't have these shades in the other palettes just yet. I need some bold, fun shades because I am colorful, I am bold, I need this. I know we have the neon palette, but this brings a little bit more to the playground, all right? We're gonna get on the swing set, the seesaw. We're going all over the place, all right? And then it has these beautiful metallic shimmers. Give Me Glow has the most beautiful shimmers of life. And Summer Vibes just fits in with my summer vibes. So I'm loving this. And there's some neutrals in here as well. So I also have some blend-in shades. And we're having fun over here. So this is a bright palette that I had to include because I have to have fun with my makeup at the end of the day. And then I was like, oh my god, there's a palette that I have to include. It's newer to my collection, but I'm so in love with this color story that I have to include it. So that is the Menagerie Cosmetics Killer Purr palette. Purr, meow cat, purr. This palette, all right, listen. I love these eyeshadows, the textures, the colors, how they blend. Oh my god, this formulation is so good. So this is like a safari themed palette, right? And I have the perfect brow highlight. I have some gorgeous safari themed mattes. I have this nice teal. This is such a good teal. And then I have some fun shimmers that are basic bronzes. I have a couple of deepening tones. This palette can just be an everyday palette for me. And I know I could get various looks from this. And some of these tones I don't have in the other palettes. I know some of the neutrals probably cross over, but I could just pull this out and go with it. And I just love the texture of these and how they work on my skin tone. And then we have these two mustardy shades that, hello, I need, I want, I have to have. So I am very happy with this. And let's talk about that green, because that's a fun green, right? Done. Say less. And then I was like, all right, let's still have some fun. So the last palette of the 10 that I would choose is also from Menagerie Cosmetics, but this was when they were Makeup Monsters. So this is the Dragon Child palette. Now I think they may still have this in their collection. I'm having a little bit of problem because my gray is shattered, it's broken, it's trying to fall out, so give me a minute. This eyeshadow literally just played me and fell all the way out into my garbage. So I tried to repress it, but it's not working out too well, so I ordered it as a single just now off the Menagerie Cosmetics website. Because I don't like having ugly eyeshadows in my palette. I know, don't listen. You don't know my life, all right? Just know. So don't mind this ugly one. I'll replace it with a new one once it comes in because these are removable. But this has some beautiful tones. Like, look at this blue, look at this green. None of these shades I already have in the other palettes. And then I have a couple of purples, a deep blue again, and then this really deep orangey color, like a brick orange. Sexy. So I love this palette. It is the first palette I got from Makeup Monsters, now Menagerie Cosmetics, that I fell in love with, and I fell in love with their formula. So absolutely wanted to have this in my top 10. So those are the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I would keep if I could only keep 10. Now, like I mentioned, I have a couple of extras because I am extra and I like to do the most. So I'm going to share with you quickly the other 6 that were vying for my attention. The other 6 that were like, oh, pick me. And I was like, I love you, but I can do without you in the top 10. But if I had like a top 20, you would be included. So first up, we have the VISEART Editorial Brights palette. Do I have to explain myself? Do I have to? I don't think so. This guy is just so beautiful. These mattes are gorgeous. But as you can see, I could get away with the other palettes without having this one because this has like the bright mattes that I would have in the other palettes. Some of the colors not necessarily exactly the same, so that's why this one was on the edge. I wanted to choose this one, but I was like, I have similar colors in the other palettes, so I could get away with skipping this. But this one, it would probably bump out another palette if I could part with any of the other ones, but this would be like number 11. This would be my next on the list. Then I told you that Give Me Glow makes some of my favorite eyeshadows, right? So I was battling with the Staple palette from their lineup. This one, I was just like, oh my god, if I needed a staple palette, this would be perfect. It has great neutrals, it has some deeper tones. I could definitely rock with this, plus it has some shimmers. But as you can see from this palette, I could get away with the other palettes to substitute for this. Even though I love the formulation and I kind of want to go with this one, I don't have as many options as I do in like the VISEART Grande Pro. So if I was doing like a top 15, this would definitely be one of them that I included. So yeah, I love this palette as well. And another Give Me Glow palette that I love, the Grunge palette. Oh my god. So with this one, I have the same reasons as why I wouldn't choose the Staple palette. I can replicate these shades kind of in the other palettes. Not exactly, but close enough. And I feel like I have more options in the other palettes. But this one is so gorgeous as well. These shimmers, these mattes, oh my god. But as you can see, I have a few of these in the Grande Pro palette from VISEART. I could get away with a couple of these from the other like Menagerie Cosmetics palettes. So I'm not gonna be hurting, but if I had my way, I'd probably choose this as well. It's just a great smoky grungy palette, and I love the shades, and I love Give Me Glow Cosmetics. Their formulation is so good. Now, another one that I was contemplating, like I was thinking neutral, I like good neutrals with mattes and shimmers. It's the Latte palette from Dominique Cosmetics. So this one has a row of mattes that are neutral and beautiful, would work great on my skin tone. And then we have a couple of pops of color. And then we have these shimmers that would also work great on my skin tone. So I wanted to grab this palette, but then I was like, I have these neutrals already in the other palettes, and the shimmers I could kind of do without. And then these pops of color, I have them in like the Menagerie Cosmetics palettes. I have that in the Give Me Glow palettes. I can do without this one. But again, if I was choosing 15 or 20, this would definitely be in the run-in. It would be selected because I really do like this palette. I had to pop back in to mention this palette because it is so gorgeous. I have been loving it. This is the Impulsive palette from Melt Cosmetics. And I got it earlier this year, and I am so in love with this. It definitely probably would be number 11. So it's gonna bump out that VISEART palette for number 11 because I love this palette and I love the formulation that Melt was able to accomplish with these different mattes and the shimmers. This is such a beautiful palette. But again, I feel like I would have some of these shades in the other palettes that I chose for my top 10. So it wouldn't necessarily edge out any of those palettes. But if I could get one extra one, this would be the one. In fact, I was really considering putting this in the top 10. I don't know how I forgot it, but oh my god, I love this palette and I love these shades. Now, these are kind of toss-ups because these are palettes that I really loved like back in the day, and I was like, oh my god, they're so good. I really do like the textures. I really got great looks from them. So these ones I could probably do without, but I kind of really like them as well. So we have the Lorac Unzipped Eyeshadow Palette. This is the original one. So they have an unzipped gold, and this is just the regular unzipped. This guy has beautiful shimmery neutrals and a couple of beautiful mattes as well. And these are so creamy, so silky. They apply well, they blend well, and all these shades work together nicely. And this would give me just beautiful everyday neutral looks. And I could work with this without even blinking. I could do a look with my eyes closed. This is how easy and simple this palette is. So it's one of my favorites. It's a long-term favorite, and I kind of want to keep it in the roundup, but I could do without it, you know, because there are other eyeshadows here that I would choose over it. But at the same time, I'm like, but that would be a good staple palette as well. And then the last one is the Tartist Pro eyeshadow palette. This is the original one, so they released another one and whatever, I don't care. This one, A lot of people complain about this palette. Oh, it's not that great. I was one of those that fell in love with this palette. I love especially these dark tones. They blend so nicely on my skin and they're so easy to work with. And then we have 4 shimmers that are also gorgeous. I don't know, guys. I got a lot of use out of this palette. I love this palette. I love the texture. I love the formulation. I love how they blend out. And I fell in love with this palette. And these colors would work so great in like everyday looks. And like I said, I got great use out of them. And these 2 rows especially, like, they kill me. They're so good. Plus it smells good. I mean, what am I gonna say? This is just one of my favorite palettes that Tarte ever did. I no longer buy Tarte palettes, but this one was just one that stood out to me that I absolutely love. So there you have it, guys. Those are my 16 palettes. Yeah, all together they would be 16, but I showed you my top 10, the 10 that I would keep over here, and then with a little bonus tossed in, you know, just for shits and giggles, nothing too crazy. All right, guys, so now it's your turn. You're tagged. You're officially tagged by me. If you want to share in the comments the 10 palettes that you would choose if you could only keep 10, let me know. And if you do videos, go ahead and send me the link and let me check that out, because I think this is a fun concept. It's a fun idea. It's not like the newest, like people have done their top 10 palettes and stuff. I wasn't going with my top 10. I was going with the palettes that I would get like a good selection of shades from. I would round out my collection. I would have all the shades that I would need, from brights to neutral, all the mattes, all the neons, all the shimmers. That's what I was going with in my mind. I could create all the looks I would want to for every day, all the smoky nighttime sultry looks, all my bold colorful looks. I could have fun with all these palettes, and they're not necessarily like top, oh my god, these are amazing, they're the best of my collection. They're not like the ultimate in my collection, but they're the ultimate for me in terms of color stories and function in my collection. So let me know what your top 10 would be. And I feel like I want to do this with other products. So I probably want to do this with highlighters. Would you guys be interested in that? Or blushes. Oh my god, I thought about doing this with foundations. That's what I think I will do for sure, because I could choose 10 foundations. I know you guys are probably like 10 is excessive for foundations, but you don't know my life, okay? I am who I am, and I'm just asking for you guys to let me be me and accept me, okay? Because I cannot be tamed. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and leave the list of the palettes down below, along with links on where you can pick them up. I think some of these are discontinued, like the KEVYN AUCOIN ones. I don't think you can find those anymore, but I'll try to find them if I can and link them down below. And I will also leave links to Menagerie Cosmetics and Give Me Glow. Those are indie brands that I'm absolutely in love with. I love their formulations. I love their palettes, the color selections. They're just really fun for me. So I will leave those linked below as well. And I will also leave links to my Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, where you should be following me along. We have fun. I haven't been posting as much because it's cold and I'm uninspired. I ain't even gonna lie. It's cold out here in these streets, all right? And I will go ahead and leave you at that, because I have yapped too much and this has gone on way too long. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.